Hello and yes indeed, welcome once again for another whiskey review with me, the Whiskey Novice. Thank you for joining me for review number 160, the start of another new series. If you're just starting here, it's another new series, and this time we're actually going back a couple of years back. I thought it was sooner or more recent. I feel actually it's probably a couple of years back. I did a series called That Awkward Age, where I was looking at whiskies between the age of 3, which of course it has to be before you can call it whiskey, and 16, but not including 10s and 12s. It made perfect sense at the time. When I listen to it back now, it doesn't make any sense at all. But this was sort of whiskies putting age statements on, which were rare and more, I suppose, at that time, it was more about younger whiskies. But there are a few I've noticed of odd age between the age of 12, even and 16, and they're just a bit of an odd age. But there's more. I've noticed this series doesn't really work just as well anymore because there's more and more and more of those I've noticed starting to come about now. The 13s, 14s, 15s, etc. And that's pretty much what this series will be looking at. And we're going to start with this one, the Loch Lomond 14. Now, Loch Lomond, what do we do? Well, who are you going to call? Goes Michael Henry, exactly. That's who I called as usual. I sent out to Michael Henry, asked him what the what's going on. What's going on? How's the family? That sort of stuff. But what's going on with the Loch Lomond 14? So we'll get into that first and break down what exactly has happened in here from Michael himself. Loch Lomond 14-year-old uses 3 unpeated and peated spirits from our straight neck pot stills, all matured in refilled bourbon. It is then vatted together and filled into 50% first fill Limousin oak hogsheads for 6 months and 50% second fill Limousin hogsheads for 12 months before being vatted together again before bottling. And I say Limousin. I know that's pronounced different than French, but Limousin. I apologise to my French friends. French isn't a good one for me. We stagger the times so that the spirit from the first and second fills completes its finishing at the same time. Limousin hogsheads are made to order for us by a cooperage in Bordeaux. They are like toast and have not been used for anything else prior. So look, you don't get it, you don't get much more of a deep dive than that. That is right in there. So it is also, and it does say on the label non-chill filtered. Michael also did say that they do add colour, but we sort of knew that anyway. Although I do think they are pushing, I don't know how much of this I can say, but I'm going to tell you anyway, I do think they are pushing to sort of move away from colour, but that's something outside of this. Bottled at 46%, I believe. Yes. As I said, non-chill filtered, they're 14-year-old. So, there you go. Can't really get many more details than that. Let's go, shall we? Typically fruity, orange and pear, I will say. There's a slight, for me, a very slight hint of detergent. Now, it's probably the citrusy thing again, because it is like a citrus detergent. So it's probably it sort of making it feel like a wee bit, but it's a very slight hint. It's not off-putting. Like a little malty, a little woody. Lightly woody. It's a nice light, like sandalwood. Yeah. There's a slight creamy sweetness in the background of this, which eludes me. I can't put my finger on it. I really can't. It is a creamy sweetness. And I remember when I was doing my tasting notes, Richard Patterson of White Mackay Dalmore fame once used the note baby sick, which I know, the thing is, I actually know where he's coming from. I know that sort of, having 2 children, I know that sort of, it's that formula that children drink, that, And there is a sweet, and the thing is, it's not an off-puttingly sweet creaminess. Now, I'm not going to go as far as to say this smells like baby sick, but I do know what he meant. It's that formula that babies drink, but just with a slightly bitter tinge or something to it. So it is, it works. Whatever it is, it's nice in here. I'm not putting it down to baby sick, but something like that. Yeah, I would rather not use, it's an awful term. Nice, thick, sweet and sour delivery. Coats very well with a nice, very light, prickly heat. Orange, more of that orange, definitely. More of that sandalwood with, a slight bitterness around the outside edges, I'm going to say. It is creamy, it's chocolatey. And a very, very, very slight hint of smoke right at the very back. Very slight, but it is there. Finish, medium, long. Memories of like a fudgy orange. And then it is actually medium. It's probably leaning more on the long because there's a fudgy orangey thing, and then you get left with cinnamon and clove, but they're light and balanced. It's a nice finish. It's a good finish. It is definitely longer than it is sort of medium in length. So, if that makes sense. So yes, added a little drop of water there. Let's see if we can get this to break up a little. And I know from doing my tasting notes that it can take a drop of water. Yeah, richer, rounder, creamier, more balanced. Peachy notes. More orange and definitely creamy. Like a peach or orange yogurt. There's that sort of real tangy hint of it. Softer, sweeter, rounder, hint of damson. More milk chocolate. Chocolate orange, but only just. And that hint of smokiness is there right at the very back, actually. Finish doesn't change much regarding flavour. Just a little dry. Becomes a little drier. This is another one of those whiskies that I've had a bit of a journey with this bottle. To say, here's the way to sum this up, and it always troubles me with a distillery that I really like, that I can't help myself but compare it to other expressions from that distillery. So if I were to do that, if I were to say, how does this compare to the 12s? How does it compare to the 18? Well, actually, this would be one of my least favourite Loch Lomond's. So it's one of my least favourite Loch Lomond's. But you know how much, if you know me, you know how much I enjoy Loch Lomond. So for it to come down in that chart is not really a bad thing. How would I compare it to many's another whiskey? It's brilliant. It's a great whiskey. It's got an awful lot going on. And the longer it sits, the better it gets. It is a great whiskey. It just, for me personally, doesn't sit very well in that Loch Lomond chart. So, that is just personal opinion. And as I said, take it away from Loch Lomond, or take it away from the Loch Lomond range and say, well, where does it sit against other whiskies? Well, then, yes, it's a great whiskey. It really is. Compared to other Loch Lomonds, there's better, in my opinion. I'm not going to keep digging holes for myself there. Once again, good stuff from Loch Lomond. I appreciate it once again, I really do. What did I pay for this? That's a good question. I'll probably just take a small break here and I'll find out. So let's move on, shall we? So yes, during that time, I can tell you that I paid £50 to £60 for this. I can't remember exactly what it was, but expect to pay around the £50 to £60 mark. 14-year-old, 46%, non-chill filtered, that's a good price. Would I buy it again? I'll drag this one out. My palate may change a little. I'll drag this one out, see how it finishes off. Might not quite sure. Still enjoyed it, but just not quite sure. So what would I suggest as an alternative? Well, let's stay with the Loch Lomond group, shall we? And I'm going to suggest this to you. Glen Scotia 15. An awful lot of what's going on in here reminded me of what was going on in here. How do they compare? It's not really a fair contest, I suppose. It's not right to say here, but, I would definitely lean toward the Glen Scotia 15. Same group. I mean, but just an awful lot of that orangey feels going on, a lot of that fruity feel. I just feel that the Glen Scotia just has that edge over this Loch Lomond 14. And it's probably quite a good edge. If you really wish to know what I feel about Glen Scotia 15, hang around with this series and you will. So there you go. Yeah. Great whiskey. It really is. And really is worth that money. Yep. But just as Loch Lomond's go, there are better in my opinion. Can't say more than that. So I'll leave it there. Thank you as always for joining me. Thank you to my patrons. Should you wish to join that group, the details are in the video description below. Always a pleasure to be with you, my friends. Till the next time, here's to your good health. Cheers. Hey, thanks for watching my video. Please click and subscribe to be notified of further content.